G'day guys, today I have a how-to video, and today what this video will be is showing you how to make model engine fuel. Now this is not an overly complex thing to do, however care must be taken, but it is relatively straightforward. Now, I make my own fuel purely for the fact of it is cheaper in the long run. As you can see, I have various models that run on model engine fuel. I've got a buggy, got planes, and just behind me there, got a helicopter. They all run on model engine fuel, and the problem is they all require different mixes, whether it be nitro content, oil content, different kinds of oil for the application, and it does get relatively expensive buying all these different things, all these different mixes. So what I'm going to do is go through with you the process of making model engine fuel, mainly for my buggy. I've got plenty of fuel for my planes and helicopters, so there's no point in making fuel for them. So it is, as I said, a relatively straightforward, and it's not overly complex, it's not that hard. Caution is needed because you are dealing with volatile liquids, especially the nitromethane. However, some safety precautions is all you need, really. So what I'll do is I will cut to the table here, and I will go through the initial process of what you need. Okay, so here we have a Pyrex jug. I am using this purely for illustrative purposes. I will be making fuel for the buggy, and with my process of making fuel, I make my fuel by the litre. Now, I know that quite a few people that watch this are from the United States, and they do not use the metric system. However, this process is quite straightforward. So I make my fuel by the litre. So 1 litre is 1000 millilitres. So what I need to do is work out the percentages of the nitromethane, the oil content, and the methanol. So to do that, we need to work out that, well, we know that 1000 millilitres is 100% of the volume that will be the completed product. So 1000 millilitres you divide that by 100. So when you divide that by 100, you have 10. So 10 millilitres equals 1%. Now, I run my 8-scale buggy on 20% nitro. So 20% is 200 millilitres. So, and I then run with oil, I have 13% oil. Now, that is a mix of synthetic oil and castor oil. When it comes to the total oil, so 10% of that 13% is synthetic, so therefore I would need 100 millilitres of oil, and 3% of that is castor oil, so therefore I will need 30 millilitres of castor oil. And then it's simply a process of filling the rest up with methanol. Now, the oil that I use is, as I said, synthetic and castor. Now, for the synthetic, I use Cool Power Blue. That is the particular one that I use for my on-road application, and I also use it for my aircraft as well. Although I use Cool Power Red for my helicopters, but that's a different application. So then I have castor oil. Now, I have seen a few videos on YouTube where people use cheap castor oil from a chemist or drugstore, if you're American. Please do not use a cheap castor oil. That is just going to stuff your engine up completely. It is not a hobby grade castor oil. It is not what they call degummed, and you're just asking for trouble using cheap castor oil. So please use a proper castor oil for a model engine application. Nitromethane is something you will need to get from your hobby shop or from a racing store, and the same goes with the methanol. You can get it from race shops like motorcycle shops or car race shops, and by that I mean like full-size race cars. Be prepared though to be asked 20 questions asked to you, because you're if you're buying a fair amount of like nitromethane or methanol, for legal reasons, people selling it have to ask you questions of what you're using it for. So this is just the explanatory process. So now what we're going to do is we're going to head across to my shed, and we'll go from there.
Alright guys, so we are in the shed and we are going to make our fuel. Now, things that we will be needing, as mentioned before, we will need our nitromethane, we will need our oils, so we have the synthetic and the castor oil. We also have our methanol. So here we have our oil, and it is the Cool Power Synthetic Blue. That is what I use for the synthetic oil. We have our castor oil, and this is, like I said, make sure that this is for castor oil that's used is for a model engine use. We have our nitromethane, and as I said, our methanol. Now, the other things that we will need are our jug to put the contents in, some various other jugs. We have a little one here for the castor oil, which I will demonstrate later. We also have another smaller jug for putting some methanol in. We also have a funnel. We also have a bottle to put our fuel in. Now over here we have have a drill and an impact wrench. I know you're probably thinking, what the hell is this for? For me, when you mix your fuel, you want to make sure that it is mixed thoroughly. And so I have on here my impact wrench. I have an old, I guess you call it for drilling holes in wood, and it is very good for mixing very quickly. This is also another little attachment. It's just a simple bit of wire bent in a certain shape, so I can mix, do a bit of more mixing which I will demonstrate. So we have our stuff. Another good thing you can use, this is a shop towel. I mean, you can use paper towel. I find this is a lot better just for wiping up any spillage, and trust me, there will be some, not a lot. If you're careful, it won't be so bad. So now, when you're doing this, make sure you're in a well ventilated area. Now we're in my shed, just up on the wall here I have a hole, so it's just a cat flap to let air in. I also have the main door open, and I also have a solar powered fan which is constantly circulating air through. So you want to be in a well ventilated area, because you can get high.
Hey man, am I driving okay? I think we're parked, man.
So, without any further ado, let's get into it. So, what we'll do now is, I like to do it in a certain order, and that order is the nitromethane, synthetic oil, the castor oil, then the methanol. So, as I explained earlier, with the percentage rates, we divide 1,000 milliliters by 100, which gives you 10%, or 10 milliliters is the equivalent of 1%. So we need 200 milliliters of nitromethane for our 20%. That will give us 20% nitro. So pour it carefully, so we go up to 200 milliliters. And it doesn't matter if it's a little bit under or a little bit over, unless you're racing in a sanctioned event where everything has to be spot on. So that is the nitromethane. Now we will move on to the synthetic oil. So, as mentioned previously, I run 13% oil, so that's 10% synthetic and 3% castor. So now we need to go up to the 300 mark. That'll give us our 10% synthetic oil. And just be careful to check it, because the oil is important. Okay. Now, here's the tricky bit. Castor oil is a thicker viscosity than synthetic oil, and it is very important that you get all of your castor oil in. So I have developed a small trick. So here we have a small, I guess you call it beaker, measuring beaker, and it goes up to 50 milliliters. So I only need 30 mils of castor oil. So to do what we'll do is we will get carefully pour it in. It's funny the smells in this stuff too. My nephew reckons this stuff smells like burnt baked beans. Yeah. Okay, so that is our 30 mils of castor oil, and as you can see, we will need some shock towel now, because this is where it starts to get a little bit messy, not so much. So we'll just put the lid back on. Now, a little trick I found, because you want all of your castor oil in there, what I've done is I found a little trick. So I'll get some methanol and I'll pour it carefully into here. And like I said, there will be a little bit of spillage. Don't have to worry too much about the methanol. It will evaporate. So what I do now, I get some of this methanol, I'll pour it into that beaker. Then I will get my drill and slowly start to mix it in. Because the methanol, what the methanol will do is the methanol will mix with the castor oil and it will reduce its viscosity, so it will make it easier to pour. Okay, now we'll pour it in. And what we'll do again, because there's still some castor oil in there, we'll pour some more methanol in. And basically repeat the process. Alright. Now it's just a case of filling the rest up with methanol. Alright, now this point is where we use this. I like to use this mainly because, how fast does it spin? 2300 RPM, so it goes fairly quickly. Now, just make sure that it's clean. Alright, so now we just carefully mix it together, because you want to make sure all of it is mixed well. It doesn't matter if a bit of air, it makes air when it does it, that's good, it helps it mix. So now that is all thoroughly mixed. Now what we do is we get our bottle that we're going to put it in. Give that a wipe. When you go to put it in, if you're using an old fuel container, I recommend that you flush out the bottle with some methylated spirits, or in the United States, isopropyl alcohol. Put some in there, put the cap on, shake the hell out of it, and the reason why to use that is it will evaporate, because you don't want any contamination of old fuel. So now we'll carefully get, you need this. And carefully pour it in. Make sure you get every drop in. And there you have it, guys. That is 1 litre of model engine fuel. Now, interesting thing that happens when you mix the nitromethane with the alcohol, you have a chemical reaction happen and it will get very, very cold. Here in Australia right now as I'm filming this, we're right in the middle of spring, so it's not cold weather, and this is very cold. You will notice that there will be condensation forming. This is normal. Just when you're doing it over the next 20 minutes or so, just wipe any condensation off on the outside like so, and it'll be fine. So make sure your lid's on and you've got some fuel. Give it a good shake every now and then. I like to make sure, while I do use the impact wrench to spin the wood chisel there, I still like to give it a shake every now and then. And before every day, like if I'm going racing, before every race day, I'll just give it a good shake up again, because sometimes the oil and so forth can separate, so you just want to give it another mix. So I hope that is informative for you guys. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to comment down below. I will do my best to answer any questions you have, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers, guys.